You're about to watch a blue video. That's right, a blue video. This is my invader. I'm not invading right now. I was in Roundtable Hold when I got summoned in to this situation. One host alone with a Taunter's Tongue fighting two invaders. You never get to see how a story begins as a blue. Maybe if you're lucky you get to have a critical part in how it ends. But I don't know how this began. It could have been a questing situation gone bad, a gank gone bad. There could have even been a bonfire duelist situation that also turned. I think the host dies right here, by the way. It's why I stopped moving and I eat that lightning urn to the face. My opponent's name is Dro, the other invader. I sort of lose sight of Dro here. I let them get enough distance. They do have the concealing veil. They do have the trick mirror. And if you want to get lost in Liurnia of the Lake and the host and his allies are impressing you, you can pretty much get away. So Dro manages to stick around, keeping his slot full, which keeps me in the game, while the other slot via Taunter's Tongue is open for other invaders, and that leads to a sort of long summon on my part. I try to get a look at my host too, whether I'm a co-opper or a blue, to see just how honest they're being. And this guy's possibly being pretty honest. You'll never really know. In Dark Souls 3, you could tell if I got pulled in as a blue and my host was wearing things or holding things or displaying gestures that I knew they couldn't possibly have acquired, since that game had a little bit more of a linear approach to how the levels played as compared to Elden Ring. So I could at least make a judgment call in that game. In this game, it's a little bit harder. But since my character is level 80 in this screen, and I have to assume this person's also in the consecrated snowfield, because I am also, I have to assume they're being legit. But they're not resummoning any phantoms that might have died before I got here. So I stick around. I figure, what the heck, I'll get some PvP practice with this character. Anyway, I'm just really using this as a vehicle to have a longer discussion, expand on some stuff that I brought up in my patch 1.06 conversation a few weeks back, where I talked about the blues in Elden Ring and why I want them to be more than they are, because they're not exactly very thrilling. Here's some stats on this particular character. I started as a vagabond at some point a few months ago, sort of lost interest in the character. I was trying to make a low-level Limgrave defender, which was kind of pointless, I discovered, in Elden Ring, because everyone just summons their friends that just drop them Rivers of Blood in Moonveil. So I went back to the character, leveled them up to 80, used a larval tier to mess around with some magic. And this character's been pretty fun. But I wanted to show the multiplayer tab on the menu screen. And I want everyone to look at the gaps, the third rows for the summon finger and stake, the duelist finger and stake, the two invasion fingers, and the two circlets. There is a third slot on each of these that is currently teasing us. So I have to assume content that's on the way, be it some big patch or possibly more likely DLC assets being added to the game, will expand on these. To what extent, I could only guess, like everyone else. In the last video that I uploaded on this topic, I discussed my interest to see a third finger for blues, to turn blues into invaders like Dark Souls 1, which still remains my favorite type of blue, even though I very much enjoyed the Blue Sentinels from 2 and 3. My argument was that we had a sin system in the game, similar to Dark Souls 1, and somehow that could be used to make that work. But I think what's more likely to happen is we might get a third option for a circlet that could more or less do the same thing. You turn it on, and maybe you get pulled in randomly, like any other blue, to invade lone invader hosts that have done nefarious things to other players. Whether the game has some kind of measurement system for this in place, I don't know. I'm back into the summon here still. Like, I don't remember exactly how many reds I managed to repel. And every time I would fight, when Dro would sneak back in to attack me or the host before, running away again. Hit and run tactics. Here's his little red pops of blood trying to foil me. But yeah, I definitely think that the blue role right now in the game, it's a passive way for players to do some PvP while they play their own game, which is probably fine. It's you play your game. There's no risks. You come into a group situation where I wanted to reverse this. You can see just how awfully I I embarrass myself with parries. I'm getting frustrated at this point. I want to get out of this. I want to get out of this world and just play my own game and invade. But anyway, right here, there's the worst situation that could have happened, and my opponent does not capitalize on it, and I'm able to turn the upper hand. This was probably the toughest invader I had to fight on this one. So GG to that guy. But I'm never quite against the ropes again for the remainder of the clip here. I also have to assume that some Dark Souls 3 Blue Summon matchmaking is at play here, because I do feel as if me and the host are probably higher level than these reds, which is normally what happens. I'm normally invading up myself, but in Dark Souls 3 there was pretty severe differences in some cases. A blue could come in who is quite a bit higher than you. And with as infrequent as they are with summons in this game, I have to assume the same thing's happening. So it is very possible that I'm fighting very much lower level invaders here. Blade of Maya had a video up recently that had a funny thumbnail that charmed me, where he had the breakdown of the difficulty tiers of Elden Ring. Obviously, easy mode being a host with cooperators and also blues aiding, and then of course. Invaders being on the harder scale, which is why we like invading, let's be honest. We beat the games if you want it to be harder. Nothing is as hard as fighting multiple players, so that's why we like to invade. That's the real reason. But that was a funny point that he made, and I think that's true for why people might want to turn on their blue circlet. They get a little taste of what PvP's like in sort of a fail-safe before they think about trying it, which maybe they won't. I don't mind when blues come in. I'm one of those guys. I don't mind when blues come in while I'm invading. Usually because I can handle them. Once in a while you get a really good blue. It does happen. Sometimes you get someone who invades, who, like me, just puts the circlet on because I like online in these games. I don't just play Dark Souls or Elden Ring or Bloodborne and I just do invasions. I do all the online stuff. I do all the Covenants if there's Covenant options. Dark Souls 3 had a few of them. I would do everything. I would be a Territorial Spirit. I would be a Mad Phantom. People tend to like watching invasion videos more, and I get it. No one watches gang videos, and I can promise you no one watches blue videos. I tried. I had a nice little collection of videos for blues and Dark Souls 3 I called it Being Better Blues, because I was trying to make blues not suck. And I was offering tips and suggestions on how best to do that, but it was a very small viewership and I stopped doing it. I will not be doing them for this game, unless we get some expanded tools and DLC content, which would be nice. But I don't think there's much to this that needs to expand upon, so this will be my last pro blue or blue conversation, because I wouldn't even call it a pro blue discussion we're having. Just know that if you're a blue and you find yourself summoned as a blue, no one expects anything from you, least of all the hosts, who very thanklessly have their circlets on, and invaders won't think much of you either. So at best, that's a tool in your arsenal. You can use that against them. That's the best I can say about it right now. But hopefully it's better. I don't always get summons like this. In fact, this is probably the single best blue experience I've had in Elden Ring, and it's still not as fun as any basic invasion that I've done. So yeah, that's where we're at. Shout out again to Blade of Maya, who inspired me to put Ice Spear on a polearm. It opened up a whole doorway for me, and I love it now. And you get this Banished Knight spear for free at +8 just by doing the Irina, the Rev Captain, whatever his name is, quest line. So get one, it's good, and use Ice Spear, it's good. And yeah, that's really all I have. I beat Dro, so mission accomplished, and I got to do a cool gesture, and I felt good about myself. Thank you.